Hello and welcome to No Better Time. I'm Phil Salter, and this is another one of my good old fashioned quick dives. I actually just finally got a haircut yesterday, and you know that thing where you don't really know until a day or two has passed if you're happy with your haircut. Maybe that's just me. Or I usually wait way too long to get a haircut. I don't know it's time for a haircut until I look in the mirror and I hate what I see. And then I'll wait another month to get a haircut. It was a new person to give me a haircut, but I think she did a pretty good job, and I'm happy with it. But I'll know in 2 days if I'm really happy with it. The thing I want to talk about today is this concept of recognizing the universal patterns and truths around us. They're all around us, they're always there. And when you start looking, it's just something I'm realizing. The more you start paying attention to the world around you, you start to recognize patterns, you start to recognize truths, you start to recognize opportunities and abundance. All these things are all around us. And the one thing, like going back to Ron Aguilar from Utah Valley Videos, after I know another shout out to him because after he did those conversations with me on the phone, took the time to help me figure out some ways to improve my efficiency with my photography business. I ended up shadowing him. The day I recorded that episode about, abundance and about telling that story of him, later that day, I shadowed him. And it's funny because I thought, hey, man, going with someone who has more experience than me and someone who may do things different than me has a lot of value, and I'll shadow him. But I didn't necessarily think it was going to be as valuable as it was. I didn't think it was a waste of time by any means, but I was like, hey, I'm sure I'll get something from this. But watching his process, his flow, what he did, there were multiple things I learned that I implemented in my next photo shoot, and immediately life was better already. Just dumb little things I was doing that I never really thought about. You just kind of get in these patterns and you don't necessarily always step back and think, is there a better way to do this? This is how I do it. So that was really awesome. He also was using a specific type of tripod that I realized I need that tripod. I see how he's using it, how efficient it is, how effective it is. I was using the wrong kind of tripod for 4 years, but it's just the tripod I had. It's a really nice, high quality video tripod, but that's not what I was doing with this tripod. It was heavy, had the big old fluid head, for using for video, and that's not wasn't the appropriate tool. And I saw what he was doing, and so I immediately, while I was with him, went on, found the tripod, ordered it, came in the mail, started using it. It was more glorious to use than I ever expected. And there were some other things I noticed he was doing in his flow. So it's like, man, just learning from other people. Open your mind to realizing there has to be better ways. There's nobody has everything figured out in the most efficient, effective way. So open your mind to potentially relooking at how you're doing things that you do every day and how can it be better. Another thing I noticed, I had mentioned in a previous podcast. So that's just a universal principle, right? Abundance and just helping others and looking for help will pay off, right? So I'm not going to speak for Ron, but him helping me helped him in some way. I'm not saying, oh, look at me, I helped him because he helped me. But I just know based on these universal principles, him helping me helped him in some way, mentally or otherwise, it helped him. I guarantee it in some way. In fact, I'd love to hear from him if that was the case, if he recognized something. The fact is, maybe he doesn't recognize it. And just because we don't recognize something's happening, doesn't mean it's not happening around us. Anyway, so I mentioned I had this microphone I bought for my iPhone, right? And I said, one of the episodes I had driven into work and I recorded something, just the audio while I'm driving, and I'm having these thoughts because I just find I think more clearly. Not necessarily the ideal place to be recording because of the noise, and maybe you could even argue, hey, that might be distracting. But I have conversations all the time while I'm driving. Uh, no more distracting than that. So maybe I'm doing something wrong there, but I don't think so. So I recorded myself something, had these thoughts, got to work, was just going to post it because this is towards the beginning, and it sounded terrible. It's like as I hit bumps, it was losing connection. Like it wasn't really connected. The mic, and I was like, oh, that stinks. I guess I can't do that while I'm driving. I'll just have to. I like the mic. I like how it sounds. I like that I can do it in my car, which actually sounds pretty good in this kind of enclosed area. There's not like echo, right? So it's a really decent place to record, actually. Anyway, so then I noticed a couple of things. The pattern. I was helping my wife. We have this van, and the little uh, auxiliary jack you plug into your phone so you can listen to stuff in the car. It's like a 2005 Honda Odyssey, so it doesn't have like Bluetooth, any of those things. And it turns out, over time that the connection for like where you plug it into your phone, we had an adapter to go to the lightning thing into the phone, but it wore off and it separated. I had taped it up with like electrical tape at one point, but it just kind of ended finally failing. So I told her for Mother's Day, I'm going to repair that for you. And I finally got around to it like a week or two ago and got help from my neighbor who's willing to help me, which is another way of just putting yourself out there. And he had things I didn't have as far as tools and expertise around some of this stuff. But I would plug it in and I got it working, but I noticed if I moved my phone just so, it wouldn't play. So I had to kind of like do it just right. And I thought, oh, maybe this lightning, male input is just kind of wearing out or something. And then I tried plugging something else into my phone, and then I started to realize it hit me last night. It was like, because it's a thought I've been having. I'd like to have an option to record while I'm driving, just to see if it could work. But but I can't. I was like, well, am I going to go spend money on a different mic? I don't really want to go spend money on a different mic if I'm not sure I even want to do this. And so I was just kind of had been thinking about this, in the back of my mind for a pretty period of time. And since it was something that was in my mind, all of a sudden I realized something. Wait a minute. I've had multiple things not connect very well to my iPhone. It's not the microphone, it's not the connection, it's my phone. The pattern showed me, that my phone was a problem. And then I remembered years ago, I had a phone where it wouldn't connect. I had to move it just right to charge. I took it into the Apple store to have them fix it. There was lint. There was lint in here in the connection. And I realized last night, I'm literally laying in bed in a half dream sleep in the middle of the night. And I think, wait a minute, there's lint in there. It's not connecting because of the lint. And I imagine myself going downstairs in the morning, grabbing a toothpick and scooping out lint. I remember I've even looked in there like before to be like, is there something in there? Blow. And I kind of forgot about the lint in the past, And I was like, part of me was a little skeptical. Because when I looked at it this morning, I was like, it just seems, I got light in there, and I was like, it seems fine. I go downstairs, get the toothpick. I pull out lint. And I'm like, okay, the patterns showed me once I was paying attention. I could have noticed the first time, right? Oh, well, it's not really connecting. Another concept, a universal concept that we could draw from this of like, when we're not really connecting, things don't, we need to connect with the world around us and the universe to recognize the patterns. And this pattern had to do with connection as well. And so then I pull out the lint. I haven't used the microphone yet, but I feel very confident that it's going to connect now. And if I wanted to use that mic while I was driving, it will actually be in there all the way. Because imagine lint at the very top, and it can only pull. There's like little connections, right, inside on the lightning input and the male and female part of it. And if it can't plug in all the way to kind of snap in, it's just barely connecting. And any turbulence, any bumping causes that to be spotty. And so I have a feeling it's going to snap in there now and it's going to work. I may decide I don't want to do this, while I'm driving, but I have the option, and I learned and I recognized the patterns and the truth behind those patterns. Really awesome. Another thing really quickly, and I don't say this to brag or anything, but it just seems like this is something about abundance and about not being afraid to share of your resources. So I bought these vanities from Lowe's a few months back on clearance because I decided I'm going to replace all the vanities in my house and the bathrooms. I have to finish the bathroom in my basement, so I have a vanity for that, but I'll buy 2 more to get the other 2 bathrooms upstairs on the upper floor. But then I decided later, like, if I have to replace the vanities based on how they lay out, I'd have to replace the flooring, and then I need to do this and that. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that. It's fine. It wasn't really a scarcity thing. I just realized, oh, I don't really value making all those changes to this house. So I'm not going to do it. So I need to bring back these vanities, which is a hassle. They're heavy. I put them in my basement. I had to take them upstairs, put them in my car, find the receipt, all these things. And it hit me like last week. I think it was on Memorial Day, actually. No, it was Memorial Day. And I was like, I'm just going to post these on Facebook Marketplace and just like knock off $25 from what I paid for them so I can move them quickly. I already got them on a good deal. Plus I took off another $25 just to not have to deal with the hassle of taking them back. Yeah, I could have I could have tried to sell them for more than what I bought them, which wouldn't have been wrong, but I just was like, I'm going to get rid of these. So then I post them on Facebook Marketplace. And, multiple people say, hey, I'm interested. What's the size? And like asking questions. And this one lady says, oh, I want them. My boyfriend is at the store right now, so I don't know if it'll fit, but can you give me the dimensions of the box so I know if it'll fit in our Jeep? And our truck's in the shop right now, but if you can wait till Wednesday or Thursday, like we can definitely get it then if it doesn't fit in the Jeep. And I was like, well, I could bring it to you if you live nearby, which they did. But anyways, we're kind of going back and forth. Something I'd rather get them out of my life. Plus, it seems like they could use it. So I was getting kind of excited. And as I'm waiting for them to show up, they're going to Venmo me the money and everything. I had this thought, like, man, it would have been so cool if I would have just posted these for free, on Facebook. Like, yeah, I could. It's not that I can't use the money, and like, I don't want to just. But I thought, man, if someone could use these, it'd be so cool if I could just give it to them. And I thought, yeah, but if I would have just posted it for free on the marketplace, then like some random person would have been like, I'll take it because they want to maybe resell it or don't really need it. That's possible. And, I don't want to get too in the weeds of like, if I give a homeless man money, what's he going to do with it? But you know what I mean? Like I wanted really someone that could really use it and needed it to have it. But I was like, I already posted it. I got separate people coming for each of them. Anyways, I see them show up and I'm doing something and I'm like, oh, I see him. And I just told him, grab it. You don't have to knock on the door. It's on the porch. I see him walking up and I just had this thought like, wait a minute, these people need a vanity. They're willing to pay for this vanity. And I just opened the door like on a whim and I said, hey, you guys, I want you just to have it. And I felt kind of awkward and sheepish because it can be kind of a vulnerable thing to do something like a charitable thing for somebody because you don't want to get rejected. And people have a hard time accepting those things sometimes, right? Because there might be pride or they'd be like, I don't need your charity. And I didn't think these people were so poor and I'm so much better than them because they were driving a nice car. It was like this really nice Jeep, like a newer model. And like, I don't know what their financial situation is. It doesn't matter. What it was I just wanted to do this thing because it just feels good. I had something they needed and I wanted to give it. I ended up selling the other one. I didn't feel just something about the situation. I felt like I want to do it. And they're like, oh, really? And she's like, she had her phone out literally about to Venmo me the money. And I was like, no, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be patronizing, whatever. It's nothing other than I want to do like doing something nice. And I want you to enjoy your holiday and just enjoy it. And I told them I was thinking about it. And I thought if I needed something and I was willing to pay for it and then someone just gave it to me, that'd be a pretty cool thing to happen. And that would kind of make my day go well. And they're like, wow, thank you. And the man was just like really serious, this tall, big guy, he's just like, wow, really? Thank you. He's just like very grateful, but whatever. I go close the door, they load it up. And then she messages me a minute later. In fact, what if I were to pull that up? Oh, here we go. So, and then she says in Messenger back to me within minutes of leaving, you are so very sweet for doing that for us. He served as a Marine for 10 years and greatly appreciates this gesture, especially on this day. Remember, it was Memorial Day. If there's anything at all we can do for you, please let us know. And I was like, that kind of, got me choked up a little bit because I was like, oh. And I just told her, I was like, you know what? Honestly, I said, I honestly don't know why I had the urge to just give it to you guys. I saw you pull up and I thought how cool it would be if I needed something and I was willing to pay for it. And then it was just given to me. I would have hated just posting it for free and then someone that didn't need it snatching it up. Hearing he served as a Marine lets me know that was the universe telling me what to do this for you. I felt kind of embarrassed doing it because I would hate to come off as condescending or whatever, but I'm happy it made your day better. I thank him for his service. I'm very long-winded. Sorry. And she says, don't apologize at all. This is the cool thing. Now listen to this. She says, don't apologize at all. Sometimes things happen for a reason. And this really did make our day. We have been put in the situation a few times where the person in front of us at a grocery store couldn't pay for their groceries. We think this happens because they know we are capable of helping out. And then he just said to me, her boyfriend, see, paying for that guy's groceries last week must have had the universe let this happen for us. So grateful. Anyways, like I said, I'm not doing this to say, oh, look, I did this nice thing. I think that it's important for us to look for these opportunities, and it doesn't need to be us giving away things if we need the money. But generosity comes in a lot of forms. Ron didn't spend a dollar to help me. He gave me his time and his knowledge. I know I'm going back to this Ron thing again, but it's such a powerful example in my life right now. And then one last thing, Todd, who was on my podcast last week, we went to this, Point Express Days Carnival thing last Friday night. And you have to pay $25 for these wristbands to go on rides. And I wasn't going to do it at first, but then it turns out my daughter's too short to go with her brother, but tall enough to go on the rides if she's with an adult. So I'm like, I guess I'll go get a wristband, go back in line. And there's this one ride of the whole place that even with the wristband, it still takes 3 tokens, which are $1 each. And my buddy Todd was there, and it was towards the end of the night, and he had this bag of tokens left, and his kids were going to go on this thing called, I forgot what it was called, but it was a really crazy ride that swings up in the air and spins, and it's like pretty legit. And I was like, hey, dude, you have all these coins. Let me buy 3 of those from you, because I really wanted to try this ride, and I didn't want to go buy coins. And he had the coins. And he's like, nah, dude, just take them. And I was like, well, no, I'll pay for them. He's like, nah, just take them. And so I go on the ride with, at least 2 of his sons, and it was a lot of fun. And they come down, and we get in line for this Ferris wheel. Going to be the last thing we do that night. We're towards the front of the line, and this lady walks up as she's getting off it, and she just goes to Todd, straight to him, and says, hey, I have these 5 tokens. I don't need them. I'm leaving. You want them? And he's like, yeah. And he points to me. He's like, dude, that is like the law of attraction or whatever was what he said. Cause he's really big into that. In fact, I want to have him on to discuss that concept. And I was like, oh my gosh, he was generous. And then it came right back to him. And then I told him the story about the vanities, and he was like, that's so cool. And just, it's around us. I have some other examples I wrote down, but I'm going too long. But man, just look for these connections in the universe around us. And as you start to like try to problem solve, and you think about these things, or if you look for opportunities, and you'll see these connections. They're all around us. The universe is telling us, if you do these things consistently, a result will come. It's not like, oh, I'm going to be generous and the next day I'm going to get it right back. I don't give away 3 coins and get 5 back that specifically and that quickly. But generally speaking, you do these things, the universe has a way of returning it to you. So just keep that in mind. And if you have any questions or want to contribute, let me know. And I'd love to interview anyone that has something to talk about with these concepts of finances. I'm looking for experts on finances, or not even experts, people with experience, whether they do it for a living or they have a lot of personal experience with, investing, saving, retirement, figuring out the retirement, what's needed, whether it's building forms of passive income. I want to talk to people about this stuff, making big career moves, because there's a lot of ways to improve your financial situation beyond, being an entrepreneur. You could be, how do I become the most effective employee where I'm at now? Even if I plan on being an entrepreneur, why not? Why can't? What's the most I can do with my current situation and build from there? So thanks so much for listening, and until next time.